Hello everybody out there in Flosstube world. This is Vicki, aka the Virginia Stitcher, coming to you with my next Flosstube video. I have no idea what number this is. I think it's 50 something. I didn't look before I hit record, so I'm sure you guys saw it when you clicked on this video. Anyways, I am here to do an update on my what I've been cross stitching on, and I've done a little bit of knitting. I can show you at the end. I'll wait till the end for those that are not interested in knitting. It's been a while since I've introduced myself, and I know I've had several more subscribers since when I started my videos, my Flosstube channel. Probably, I think it's been almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in May when I started my Flosstube channel. So, like I said, my name is Vicki, and I am the Virginia Stitcher. I am an avid stitcher. I love stitching. I started stitching in the mid-'80s. When I think my older daughter was just a baby when I started. And it was something to do a lot of the times while I was married to my first husband, the father of my 2 daughters. He used to watch a lot of sports, and I would get bored, and all we had was the TV in the living room, and he would watch sports, and I thought, let me have something to do with my hands while I'm sitting here watching TV, because I would fall asleep. I was so bored. Sometimes I would catch a little bit of the games, but I mean, when I say he was a sports enthusiast, he really was. He watched everything from hockey, baseball, women's tennis, guys tennis, golf, fishing. I mean, he watched everything all year round, and that's all we ever had on the TV. And so I stitched. And when the babies were taking a nap, I stitched. When I wasn't working, when they were really little, and then I went to work. But even in the evenings, I would pick up my stitching, and I would stitch. So I've been stitching since the mid-'80s, and then I took a break because our local cross-stitch store here, I'm in Fredericksburg, Virginia. It was Everything Cross-Stitch, and it was in downtown Fredericksburg. It closed probably, I don't know, I want to say almost about 20 years ago. And then I had nowhere to buy cross stitch because we didn't have online shopping back then, and I had no idea where I could get it. I didn't know about any other shops or any other places. So I kind of put my cross stitch to the side, and I had girlfriends who were scrapbooking. So you could get scrapbooking readily in, you know, papers and punches and all the embellishments and all the stuff to do scrapbooking. So I got into scrapbooking with them for a few years, and so then I was diamond painting. I found diamond painting, and I was watching a diamond painting video, and somebody that was diamond painting showed the cross stitch. And then they started talking about, oh, I ordered this from 123 Stitch, or I ordered this from Colorado Cross Stitch, or I ordered this from Pumpkin, you know, Olivia something quilts. I've ordered from her before. Right now I'm drawing a blank. But all these places that you could order cross stitch, all these shops, the attic, hobby house. So I thought, oh my gosh, there's a whole world of cross stitch out there that I didn't know about. So I went back down the rabbit hole. And what I've been doing in the last, I probably started back into cross stitch heavily back in September of 2020. So in September of 2020, I needed to play catch up. And I was laughing because one commenter on my last video said, oh, wow, you have a lot of stuff going on, girl. And I said, yes, I'm playing catch up. I feel like the years I was out of cross stitch, the designers were out there. They were designing all of this beautiful cross stitching. And I was like, I love this. I love that. I love Teresa Kogut. I love Brenda Gervais. I love Blackbird. I love, you know, Mirabilia's, all of these things that came out while I wasn't stitching. And I was like, wanting to start all the things. So I do have a lot of whips. And now what I'm doing is I'm trying to slow down my new starts. Doesn't mean I'm not going to start anything, but I'm trying to slow them down and work on mostly whips, works in progress, things I have going on, so that I could see if I could get some things finished. And my goal is to try to get some things finished this year. And I have. I have probably finished a few things so far, which is better than I've done in a whole year before. So I was too busy starting and not finishing. And I actually have a finish to show you today. It's not fully finished. It's not FFO'd, Although I did buy a frame for it, but now I got to figure out how to get it in the frame because I was looking at it and I got to figure that out. So I'm not really good at finishing. I'll stitch all day long, but finishing, no. I'd rather get somebody else to do my finishing for me because I just don't know what to do with it. I love to stitch, but I don't like to do the finishing part. I just don't. It'll sit there. It'll sit in a drawer for years if I don't get somebody else to finish my stuff. Or I have finished a few things, but not very much. So more about me. Oh, so I'm married to my second husband. I told you I was divorced. So him and I married in June. It'll be 11 years. And I am the mother of 2 grown daughters. They are going to be turning 37 and 40 this year. My oldest daughter will be turning 40. My oldest daughter has 3 kids. Every video my voice does this. It drives me insane. Doesn't matter what time of the year it is. I used to think it was allergies. I don't know what it is. Anyways, my 40-year-old oldest daughter, she has 2 girls and a boy, and the oldest of hers, the oldest daughter is in high school. She's my oldest granddaughter. She will be, gosh, this in another month. What is she turning this summer? 16, 15, 16. Yeah, she'll be turning 16 this year. I had 3 grandkids born like boom, boom, boom. So, and they're all teenagers. And then her youngest, the younger daughter, is turning 7 this year, next month, no, in May. We're only still in March. Keep thinking we're in April already. So my grandkids range from 17, it's one that's going to turn 17 in May, and one will be turning 7 in May. And then I have in between. I have 3 grandsons and 2 granddaughters. So so I'm a mom of 2, grandma of 5, a wife, and a stepmom to one boy. And he will be graduating from high school this year. So my husband laughs. He says he was a late bloomer. He didn't have his son till he was in his 40s. So, you know, when we got married, his son was 7. So, and now he just turned 18. So, it's just crazy how time flies. When I met him, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, what is he going to think when I tell him, when we met, his son was 5. And, my grandchildren were 3 and 4, the older ones. The other ones weren't born yet, but I had 2 3-year-old grandkids and 1 4-year-old. And I was like, do I tell this guy I have grandchildren close to the age of his son? So I thought, you know what? I had my kids in my 20s. He had his in his 40s. So it is what it is, you know. It's not like we're far apart in age. It's just we were at different times in our lives at the time. So, you know, I had my kids young and he had his middle-aged. So, what else about me? I have 2 fur puppies. You will hear them sometimes in the background. And I'm retired. I was an administrative assistant for many, many years. My first job was working for the Department of Defense in Washington, D.C. I used to work actually at Headquarters Marine Corps, what was Headquarters Marine Corps in the Navy Annex, which was a building next to the Pentagon, and right outside of Fort Myers, which was really close to not the cemetery, the National Cemetery, Arlington. So I worked there straight out of high school, worked for the Department of Defense for quite a few years, got married to my first husband, quit working to be with the kids, to give, have children. And then I started back working part-time when both were in school. And I worked for a small church, a United Methodist church in town, part-time. They just needed an administrative assistant part-time. So I did that, was able to get the kids on and off the school bus because my first husband was a firefighter. So he worked shift work. He was a firefighter firefighter up in Fairfax County, Virginia, which is up in Northern Virginia. In fact, he was one of the responders for 9/11 when it hit the Pentagon. So he worked crazy shift work. So somebody needed to be available for the children. So I wanted to make sure I worked local and I wasn't commuting to DC. So I found a job working part-time, doing administrative work for a church. And then I worked there for, I think, 6 years. And then my kids were getting older and I thought I could trust them to be able to, they were old enough to stay home alone when they got home from school for about an hour until I could get home from work. So I started working full-time at another church. And I worked there for 20 years. It was my church that I was attending, and it was a larger church. And so I went to work for that church for, I think it was about just right around 20 years. And then I retired a couple of years ago from that. So mostly admin. My husband's retired Navy. I am a Navy brat, a Navy dependent. I was born while my dad was in the Navy. I was born actually at an Air Force base. And then my dad retired when I was working at the Navy Annex, and he was working at the Navy Annex, but he was on the Navy side and I was on the Marine Corps side. I was at headquarters Marine Corps. And his retirement ceremony was there while we were both working in that same building. So that was really neat and really cool. And I think I was 20 when he retired. So, and then he went to work for the Department of Defense and worked at the Pentagon and different places up in Washington, D.C. And then he retired and my parents moved to Florida. And now my mom is back. My dad passed away not long after they moved to Florida. He had a brain tumor and passed away. It will be almost 20 years. Yep. Next year. It's been 19, it'll be 19 years next month when he passed away from a brain tumor. So my mom remarried, and a few years after that, and her husband have moved up here, and they live 3 blocks from me. So they live in the same neighborhood, so that is really nice. And I think that's probably enough about me, and now my husband, he's retired Navy, works at Quantico for the Department of Defense for the Marine Corps. So I guess we have a lot of Marine, between Navy and Marine, a lot of that. I mean, we have Air Force, and my son-in-law's Army. My younger daughter, her husband is in the Army. He's a master sergeant, and they are stationed out at Fort Knox, Kentucky. And they actually are coming here to visit next week. So with the two boys, like I said, they're 15 and 16. They're getting ready to be 16 and 17. So I don't get to see them very often because they have been a military family since the oldest was an infant. So I get to see them when I can, but it's not very often. So I thought if I don't get this video done now, I won't get it done for who knows how long. And I'm bad at that. I mean, if you guys have been following my channel, you know that I find evidently excuses. That's what I've been told, is I give excuses for why I don't get back often enough. But it's just life. And I don't have a whole lot of stitching to show, but I do have stitching. It's been 4 weeks today since my last video. So I do have 4 weeks worth of stitching, and I do stitch pretty much every day, but I have not had a lot of time to do my stitching. I've picked back up my knitting. And I go with a knitting group on Wednesdays now. I meet at the library with a knitting group. So I do that every Wednesday. So if I don't, Wednesday's out for filming videos. My husband's back in the office. I think if you've watched my videos before, you'll have heard me say my husband's upstairs working. But when if the order was signed for federal government employees to go back to work in the office, he's been back in the office. So he's at work right now. Like I said, he works out of Quantico. He's actually not on the base right now. He's working in a facility off base. But he works, when he was in the Navy, he was a corpsman, and he was an x-ray tech stateside. But when he deployed with the Marines, and he was their corpsman. So now he works for the Department of Defense, for the Marine Corps, with Marine Corps Systems Command. And he works procuring, testing. He's a program manager for medical gear for the Marine Corps. So, and he works closely also with the Army and the other branches of the service. Sometimes they work together on the medical equipment that they want to vet for the Department of Defense. So he does that kind of thing, you know, things that he knew he wanted when he was a corpsman, medical assault packs, things like that. You know, I don't get all into that, but that's what he does. So he's at work right now. I fed the dogs, so hopefully they'll leave me alone. I let them out. I am trying this lighting situation. I turned around in my room. Usually I'm facing what's behind me. The last couple, 2 or 3 videos, I think, I was facing the window, which is a little farther over, but it's raining and it's cloudy and there's not really much light coming in the windows. So what I did is I tested today. I have turned on every light in this room and I have a ring light in front of me. So I have a ring light. I have my aught light on facing this way. I have a lamp on. I have my overhead lights on. And I tested it and it looks like no matter where I hold my fabric that you're going to be able to see the color true. It's not like it fades out when I move in or out of the camera. So I'm hoping that this is going to be the lighting situation. The reason I normally I stopped doing this, filming here. I used to sit on the floor before, because the lighting from the overhead light was terrific to film by. But my back has really been bothering me for the past year or so. So I was like, I don't think I could sit on the floor. So I thought, what can I do? So I have a folding table in here that now my mom is here. Her and I get together and she likes to diamond paint and I'm trying to show her how, cross stitching, but she diamond paints. She comes over here and leaves a diamond painting over here. And so I have this folding table that's set up against the wall closer over to the windows. And that's where my mom sits next to me at my table and we diamond paint together. So I thought I could take her folding table, slide it into the middle of the room, but not directly under my overhead light is like right here. So I thought if it's shining down onto my work and not casting a shadow, I'm not right directly underneath it, but I'm close enough to it that hopefully the lighting is shining down onto my projects as I'm showing them to you, that should give good light. And then I thought also to not have too bad of like you can see, there's a shadow because I do have a lot of overhead light. I thought, let me put the ring light in front of me and hopefully that helps. So between the ring light, the overhead light and stuff, it seems like I have a good light coverage sitting here. So I don't know if this is going to be my setup for right now. I'm going to try this one. I'm trying it today. I'm going to see once I put this video up, once it posts, see how the lighting looks once it's been all uploaded onto YouTube and see how it turns out. But anyways, so now I'm in facing this way. And the reason I didn't like facing this way a lot was I would get a glare. This is my TV in my craft room. And the ring lights, the overhead light, all the lights would glare into this TV. And I felt like they were glaring and causing a distraction and harder to see when you got light shining in your face. So I took a blanket, just a small blanket I have in here, and draped it over the TV. Then I thought, you know what? You need something pretty to look at. So I put a couple of my previous cross stitches up here. You know, I thought, might as well, instead of just having a blanket behind me, you know, just a blanket there, I'll put a couple of my cross stitches. This is Firefly Fairies by Mirabilia, Lady of the Flag by Mirabilia, and this one is a Leisure Arts. I think this one was called something, it's a hydrangea. Oh, somebody told me what this one was called. This was a Leisure Art, the leaflet that I had purchased years. This was one all of these I stitched years ago. When I probably stitched all of these in the early 2000s, right here. I think this one was one that Nora Corbett put out after 9/11 happened. And like I said, my first husband, you know, he was there for 9/11 at the Pentagon. A lot of friends of mine were working at the Pentagon, or their spouses or their sisters. You know, I knew a lot of people in the Pentagon. And because my first husband was a firefighter, he was friends with a lot of New York City firefighters that we lost. and even after 9/11. I don't want to name names, but we did have one friend who got the World Trade Center cough, the WTC cough, from, he was digging in the rubble to try to get out his fallen firefighters, seeing if he could get anybody out alive. And he was one of the ones that sat there at ground zero for days and days and days digging through rubble. And the stuff that was in the rubble, he breathed it in and ended up with lung cancer and passed away. So had to do this one. So I did this one. I probably finished it in 2003, I want to say. I didn't date my pieces back then, but if I started it in 2001, it probably took me a couple of years to finish it. So I did finish this one in 2003, I believe. And then this one probably I finished around the same time, probably 2005. And this one here. Like I said, these are some of my older ones, so I thought I'd stick them out. Let you guys have something to look at when you get bored listening to me. So I told you I have a finish. So I do have a finish on something. I wanted to get this one finished before summer because I'm going to try to finish it and see if I can get it out in my summer display this summer. But this one is by Cottage Garden Samplings, and this one is part of their season series. What is this? A Time for All Seasons, and this is series number 8. This was their 8th chart. And this one's called Summer at the Shore. And I think I showed this in my last video. And I didn't have the bird done yet. I think I had his legs in. I had the waves, the lighthouse, and the legs of the bird in. So I wanted to pick it up and finish it, and I did. And this one I started a few years ago. And this is on 16 count Aida in the color French Cafe Mocha, 16 count Aida. And I stitched it 1/2, and I picked threads from my stash. Let me see if I can lean forward enough. Hopefully I don't hurt my back doing this. And hopefully you're seeing it. I can't see what you guys see. So this is Summer at the Shore. And so I finished the seagull. I did him. I did the starfishes, the sailboat, and the waves that are up under the sailboat. And that's what I finished. I finished this one. Like I said, I pulled from my stash, but I did by using colors, similar colors. So I didn't change really anything. I didn't change the look of it necessarily too much. I didn't have the called for ones for this. I think these were, they had a DMC alternative and they had Gentle Arts. They were calling for Gentle Arts on some of them. But what I did was just pick out some colors I had myself. Like, I know these are all Gentle Arts here in the bird, and I believe some of these in the waves are Gentle Arts. So I just pulled some colors that I thought would work for this one. And I can screenshot this, but it is a mess. This is how my brain works. So if you look, there's my chicken scratch. If you want to screenshot that and see what I used, more than welcome to do that. But that is my chicken scratch. That is actually my brain work. That's how my brain works. Some of the colors didn't work. I didn't like them. They weren't matching together. I think I had to switch a couple of colors in the bird's wing and stuff like that. So that's chicken scratch. And then the frame, I was at Hobby Lobby a couple of weeks ago and I found this frame. And I loved how it had this rope looking. And I said, that's going to be perfect for my Summer at the Shore piece. But, it had an easel back. The problem is I took the back off of this the other day because you notice I've taken the little picture they put in the front to make it look like, oh, it's a beach scene there, people on the beach, lovey-dovey photo. I've already taken that out because I took the back off of this and I was like trying to figure out, and it'll fit perfect inside this frame. It's an 8x10 frame. But the problem is when I opened it up and pulled this back out, For one, this is a really hard piece of board. It's not just a cardboard backing, it's really hard. So I can't cut into this. I thought maybe I can just kind of wrap my fabric a little bit around this and make that work, but it's not going to. For one, it's got these little things here that you use to hold that in. For two, the way this is in, because I almost couldn't get this board out, is there is a little slit up here in the frame, and there's a little kind of an edge, a beveled edge of the top of this board that you have to get it to slide right in there. So if I can't get the back, I'm not going to be able to use this back piece. I'm going to have to go buy some foam core board, lace this around it, and pop it in here. And I don't care if I have the glass or not, because I don't usually like glass in my stuff. All three of these have glass, but normally I could care less of, you know, I don't usually finish things with glass. So, because they glare. See, there's my ring light. So I'm going to have to, that's, like I said, I am not a finisher. So I'm going to have to try to figure out what I'm doing with this. I love the frame. I still want to use the frame. If I can't, then I guess I'll take and I'll, you know, go get it professionally framed, and, you know, I'm not one of those that I'd rather take it to a professional framer, then I know it's getting done right. Might have to wait a few weeks for it. May cost me a little bit, but it's done. If I sit there and I'm probably going to sit there and worry about that, you know, not worry, but like rack my brain, like how am I going to get that to fit? Should I cut my foam core board this big? You know, is my cutter going to cut it? Do I have to pay somebody to cut my foam core board? I mean, so sometimes to me, it's like not worth it. It's like, take it in, pick a frame. I might even see if they can frame it in this frame for me. So we'll see. We'll see. So after I finished that, I started two things this month. So let me show you what I've started. One of the first things that I started, I wanted to start this for spring. And there's several people working on this, and I know Samantha, the Hygge Stitcher, she's done a stitch along for this one. And when she started the stitch along, I was like, I don't need another big Quaker sampler thing. And yes, I did. So I started Spring Quaker. So I could, you know, join in with her, but I'll be so far behind, and I always will be behind, because I'm not a good stitch alonger. I'm a good start alonger. I'll start something with somebody, but I won't promise I can stitch along with them. So this one's by Leela Studios, and this is called Spring Quaker. And the saying on it says, no matter how long the winter, spring is sure to follow. And I liked that. So as part of the chart, picked it up. I believe I'm using all the called for. Yes, I am. I am using all the called for. And I am stitching this on a piece of 32 count linen in the color Shrekie's Tan. My needle bling designs. So I am using all the overdyed and DMCs that are called for. And this is 32 count linen in the color Shrekie's Tan. Let me see if I can. Now I have my board available if I need it, but hopefully with no light behind me, it shouldn't glare too badly, like shine through. And I've only got half of it done. So there I am, excuse the wrinkles. I was working on it in a nerd hoop, but I started up in the upper left-hand corner, and I got this much finished on it. So I started this, this one still needs to be finished. There's a bunch of flower kind of design that goes around this Quaker motif. But I got this much in, and I'm loving the colors. Love that. I think that's what drew me in on this. I love the browns and the blues together. It's really pretty. So, like I said, I'm up here, the upper left-hand corner. So I started on this one down here, but I've got all this done in here so far. Not sure this here, you know, I don't think you can see it on the photo, but this here is kind of like a satin stitch with little points, little triangle satin stitch. I'm not in white. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it in the satin stitch, if I'm just going to stitch that. there's what the Spring Quaker looks like from Leela's Studio. So that was one of my starts. I think I started this on March 11th. I can remember that because that's my younger daughter and my son-in-law's anniversary of when they got married. They got married on March 11th. So that wasn't the reason I started it, but I'm like, oh, get that. I started this on March 11th. I'll throw it on the floor. Then I started a little, I've been wanting to work on some smalls and get some smalls for my, to decorate. I have not a official dough bowl, but I have like a trench bowl that I want to eventually have some stuff I can put in it and put in it as decoration. So for each season. So I thought I need to start working on some of these seasonal pieces that I have, these small ones. This one is by Crocetta Agogo, and it's called the Little Bunny. I did the little dog last year. This is the little bunny. And I am stitching this one on, what am I stitching this one on? I don't remember. This is I think it's a 32 count Lugana, an even weave. But I don't remember the color. It's a remnant, a small piece. And I still have my hanging thread and my needle minder on here. Let me see if I can move it. But that's how far I got on this little bunny. So I still need to finish the bunny. And then there are carrots, 3 other carrots, and the words that say carrots for the Easter Bunny. And some little flowers floating around. And I think that's it. There is some back stitching in this carrot to give it the carrot look. So, and this is 2 over 2. So I'm stitching with 2 threads over 2 linen threads. And I'm using all the called for DMCs for this one. So that's my little bunny. So hopefully I'll get him and get this one done. I have another one that I'm going to show you. I'm hoping to get done by maybe the next time I check in with you guys. But I'd like to get this one done. And I think I'm just going to make a pillow out of that one. So hopefully I get that one done. Because I think I just got to dig out my sewing machine to get a pillow done. This next one I did not get a whole lot of work done on. It's not a new start. Looks like it because there's still not a lot going on it. But I thought, let me get it out one day and work on it a little bit. And that's all I did was one day on it. I didn't really get too far. I thought if I could get in there where I'm getting some of the design in, maybe I'll get some more interest going in this because I had just a blob of green stitches on it before. This one is Cinderella by Mirabilia. And I started up here. I wanted to get this in because then I thought then I could count down to her dress here and then start into her. So what prompted me to start her, I had her in my stash, that chart, but I bought this piece of fabric. This is a Lugana. This is a 28 or a 32 count. Let me see. It's called, DMSL. I always think it starts with an M, but it's a D. DMSL by Picture This Plus. It's a 28 count Lugana. And I bought it for something else because I have a piece of DMSL, but it's way less modeled than this one. But this one came and it was very modeled and I thought that's not going to work for what I wanted it. And I found something else to stitch whatever that one was that I had bought this piece for. And I thought, you know what? I think Cinderella would look good on this one. So here's where I am. And DMSL, I see all of the blotchiness. It's a blue, it looks like it's a blue fabric, but then have blotches of like pinky purples and greens. But when I had picked this up this time, I had like the little bit of the frame here and a blob of green. So I thought, I want to work my way over to the castle and start getting something that looks like something. So I did. I filled in some more green and got over here and started filling in parts of what looked like the castle. And these are little trees that are rode up in front of the castle. So I did get some stitching. I got, you know, kind of like all this right here. I just had this band and a few stitches of green, and I got bored, and I think I even had this green down here already done. And I was like, I am so tired of working in these with this mossy green. It looks like nothing but a blop. And so I pulled it up one day and thought, let me get some more stitching on it. I think it's going to look gorgeous on this fabric. And there's a lot of stitching left in that one, so that one's not going to get done anytime soon. Now this one I was just recently working on, and I want to work on it still some more, but I took it off of the Q-snap that I had it on. I am a Q-snap frame. I either use Nurge hoops, Q-snaps, or scroll frames. So I don't stitch in hand. I don't feel like my stitches are very neat in hand, and my hand I have a lot of problems with this thumb joint. My hand tends to cramp up when I'm trying to gather up all the fabric to stitch and hold it all. So, and then my stitches look messy, and I've always used a hoop. Back in the day before I had Q-snaps, I had a couple of scroll frames, and I had just a 6-inch cheap plastic hoop, and that's what I used most of the time for most of my stitching. I probably stitched this one right here. These, you know, all in my little 6-inch plastic hoop, you know, so it can be done in just a small hoop if you want to. So this one is by Brenda Gervais, and this one is, what am I stitching? Oh yeah. Stitching this on a 28, is it a 28 count? Yes, because it's over dyed. 28 count Lugana, which is an even weave. By Atomic Ranch, and the color Frieze, Frieze. And I'm doing At Home by Brenda Gervais on this piece of fabric. I'm using all of the called for over dyed threads, so I do have all the weeks, and I think there's a Gentle Art, some classic color work, so I'm using all of the called fors. And I still want to work on this some more because I only got a day on it recently, and I still want to work some more. I don't think I'm going to be able to fold this in half. I got to fold this down though. So here's where I am on At Home, and I was working down here. So I had these flowers already in. I extended this parts of the border. I still want to fill in the flowers here if I get a chance. I did the deer. I did this urn. I think the urn's off just a little bit though. But then I thought, you know what? I might just come over here. There's another flower. There's like the duplicate of this on this side. So I might just space them out and make them work. So that I don't have to frog out that urn. Because I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know if I feel like frogging it out. Because if it works, who cares? I don't. Doesn't have to be perfect. So that's where I am. Let me see if I can bring it in closer for you guys. At least see the. So last time I was working on it, I had got into the house. And I don't know how good that's looking for you guys. So I did start in the house. I don't have the mortar in there. I just started on some of the bricks. And I framed in a window and a door. But this time I thought I want to come in and fill in more along the bottom. Get the bottom kind of finished underneath the house. That was my thinking. So like I said, this one's 2/2 on 28 count Lugana, the color Frieze. One of the things is with this piece though, which I was like, it'll be okay. I think when they dyed this piece of fabric, they must have used like a crystal dye, like a powdered dye that didn't disintegrate all the way, didn't liquefy, because if you look, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but there are little blue spots here on the fabric. Almost looks like, kind of like lightly, like somebody took a pen and their pen got pen marks on it. But this house and the grass, you know, is going to come over here and cover pretty much most of that. So I'm not that worried about that. I love the fabric. It's kind of a tan, very light off-white tan color that has some blue, that light blue, a little bit of like peachy, pinky, kind of just very lightly modeled in this. And I thought that would be pretty for the, with the pink and the blue flowers that run along the border in this one. So that's my at home. And like I said, this one's going right back on its Q-snap and get some more work done on it. So you might be seeing this next time, next check-in. This next one is by Teresa Kogut, and I didn't get very much done on this time. This is another one I still want to work on, so you might see this again next month. It's Dwelling Place by Teresa Kogut, and I am working on the large sampler there, this one here. So I had started up in this upper left-hand corner, had a bunch of this done. I wanted to come down and get to the bottom, so that's what I did. I came down the side. And I was filling in the stars, and I thought, you know what? I kind of am thinking I need to finish the bones of the border around before I finish filling in any more stars, just in case something's off. But I did get down here and start working a little bit down here in this grass and these animals. This one is being stitched on 28 count Lugana in the color Not Another Sampler by Stitch Me. And I am using all of the called for except the grass color. I'm using Bluebells by Victorian Motto. I'll show that to you in a second. Let me show you my piece. So Not Another Sampler by Stitch Me. I'm stitching it 2 over 2. And I can't fold this one because I did come down this side. I told you I already had all that done. And then I came and I was working down the side and I got to the bottom. So this is my piece so far. So I'm working down the left-hand side and I'm loving this piece. I just love it. Oh, love At Home too. I mean, I love all of these. But so what I had done, the color that she called for the grass was Dolphin by Weeks Dye Works. And I had Dolphin and I was looking at it. Is it here? It says Dolphin. Yes. It's a gray blue color and it's pretty. Also, I don't know if I had enough of it. But I had this Bluebells by Victorian Motto in my stash. Now it's bluer. This is like Robin's Egg Blue. This is a really pretty like baby blue color. So it is brighter than the gray, but it blends. I'm still going to use I'm using the gray for in the stars. I think it also outlines some of the stars and stuff, I believe, and in various places in there. So I'm still using that, but I thought this Bluebell still blended well with all of the colors that are in this. And because it's a little bit brighter of a bluey color, and yes, it's going to be blue grass, but it was going to be gray grass, blue gray, so it wasn't going to be green anyway. And the color goes well with it plays well with the other colors in the design. That I thought also my animals that are on it are really going to show up really well, instead of being some of the murky colors. I think one of the animals, oh gosh, I can't remember what colors. I know that like this one will show up okay and stuff, but I thought my animals will really show up because I really wanted them to show up in my grass. So, and then I thought I'll try it if I don't like it, but I think in the scheme of things, I think it's going to look nice. I know it's a little brighter than the original called for color, but I like it, so. I might get it halfway done and go, oh, what was I thinking? But right now I like it. So that's where I'm going with that one. So this next piece I've been working on, I picked it up and thought, I want to get this one finished because there's no reason why this one should take me too much longer to do. So I got it out and I've been working on it for, gosh, a good week. It's a little wrinkled. It's been in a nerd hoop. This has been my evening stitching when I'm watching TV with my husband in the TV room. But this one is by Primrose Cottage Stitches, and it's called All American. And I am stitching this one on a piece of, I think this is Laurel Green Lugana, 28 count. And I am using all the called for. It's all DMC except for 1 week's dye works, which is Louisiana hot sauce, which is the red color. But the rest of, but I came in and I had it about half, close to half done, and I'm almost got this finished. So this is where I am on All American. So I had the top part done. I had Freedom, USA. I had 4th July. I think I had to put in the of, the star. I put in Home of the Brave, the firecrackers here I stitched in, and blue I stitched in, this red and white line, and stars, stripes, and I got the 1776 blocked in. So all I have left on this one is there are a row of stars along the bottom here, goes along the bottom, the ampersand for stars and stripes, and to fill in this 1776 block. So I should be able to have that one done by the next time I check in with you guys. That's my goal. This one and the little bunny. I'm gonna see if I can get these two finished. So I took it off the nerd hoop so you can see the whole thing, but it'll go right back on a hoop so I can get working on this one again. Probably a couple of evenings and I'll have that one finished. Let's see. This next one, I decided, hey, it was March 13th. I thought, you know what? Let me do some Dark 13 stitching. Why not? Because another thing is I have a lot of Halloween Christmas pieces, and I'm like, if I don't get like these Halloween pieces, if I only work on them in October along with other fall pieces that I have, they're not going to get done for 20 years, because this one is the Halloween sampler by Teresa Kogan. It's this big one. If I only work on this thing, a couple of days a year, 2-3 days a year, that's going to take forever to get done. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to pick a Halloween piece that I know is a large piece, and I'm going to try to work on it on the 13th of at least this month. That's what I did. I pulled it out and I worked on it. One day, but not for too long. This one's another Atomic Ranch fabric, I believe. Yes. So 28 count Lugana. Man, I must have been stitching a lot on 28 count Lugana. Well, some linen and an 8-ish I did. But this one is called Amber Waves by, and I remember I had to restart this one because I didn't like the original piece of fabric I was stitching it on because the oranges were not showing up. I kept switching my orange color and it just wasn't working. I thought, let me try this one. Let me try going through my DMCs because the DMC that's called for isn't showing up on my fabric very nicely. And finally, I just gave up and I switched my fabric and I'm loving it. So here's where I am. So I upper left-hand corner, start. And what I did this time was this bird. I realized I left off his little head feathers here. There's a couple little feathers sticking out of his head. And I did these flowers and this star. That's it. That's all I did this time. But it was one day. And I had one, I don't know, maybe 3 hours of stitching to work on this one. And I'm hoping you guys are seeing that because I'm trying to show it up close. But when I do that, I can't see what you guys see. So this is my Halloween sampler. And I'm loving it. Now this color, yeah. It's like a yellowy orange, like a goldeny orange color. very lightly, and mottled. You can see the mottling in there. But my orange color is showing up. And I am stitching this with all of the called for except for the green that's in this. I am using a Victorian motto that was in my stash. Wait, I'm using 2 Victorian mottos. Or maybe I decided to stay with this orange that I had. I'm using Orange by Victorian Motto. Orange. And which is like DMC 741 would be a conversion for that one. And one that would be a conversion for DMC 3052 is Early Sprouts. So that's my green. Otherwise, I'm using all the call for DMCs. The rest are just DMCs. Oh, nope. And Barn Gray. So I did switch up those colors. So the green is, so far I've only did it, the green is the cat's eyes with this little pumpkin guy, his pants, and the sign he's holding up. So, yep. Those are the colors I'm using for this one, and I'm stitching it 2 over 2. The reason I do a lot of time, my sweet spot is like 32 count, but when I'm working on an overdyed Lugana to me is a tighter weave, and sometimes when they've been dyed that it gets very plump, especially on Picture This Plus, but also on some of these other dyers like Be Stitch Me and Atomic Ranch can get that way too. I switched to 28 count so that it's very plump, but stitching 2 over 2 works perfect. Or I do 2 over 2 on 32 count regular fabric. So if it's not over dyed, or it's a loose linen. If it's a linen is looser, a looser weave to me than Lugana. I have always stitched with 2 threads because back when I stitched before, usually that's what they called for. The Mirabilia's called for 2 threads. And they call for them to be stitched on 16 or 32 count. And usually it's a good idea to stay to the count that she's calling for because of the beading. Because if there's a lot of beading in her designs, if you were to try to stitch it on a 40 count and do it with over 1 and she was a lot smaller, the beads would bunch up too much and you would get really frustrated, and you would have to try to figure out how to get it beaded or just leave the beads off. You would have to do that. So I was used to stitching on 32 count or 16 count. These are actually all stitched on 16 count Aida. I think this one's 18 count Aida actually. But these 2, because they were called for 16 or 32 count, they're stitched on 32 count, 2 over 2. And I can bring one of them in closer or whatever for you to see the beading on it. See what I'm talking about. But this next one, this one's really wrinkly. This is a linen that wrinkles really bad. It's a Winter Woolens by Seraphim Fabrics. It's a 32 count linen. And this one is by the Artsy Housewife, and it's called Pretty Bird. So when I picked this one up, I had already done the top flower here. I had that finished. And I had started a little bit of this vining here. I think I just got, like the bones of the vine and a couple of the leaves in or whatever. So I came in, and this is 2 over 2. And I believe I'm using all the called for threads. It's DMCs. Yeah, just all the called for DMC on this Winter Woolens. And this one's going to be a little bit long. I'm going to have to cut the... And it's wrinkly. Sorry. But there is where I am. So I did the second flower. I finished the vining coming down the side of that part. But it still wraps all the way around and comes down. And it's in the bird's mouth. And I started on the bird. I got his tail feathers, the bird's tail feather in, and started working on the body of the bird. So all that's left on this one is to finish the bird. So I've got the tail feathers and I started on the body. Got to finish the bird and finish this branch. But that's where I am. So we'll see if we can get this one finished. This one's not that big. I have 2 more whips left. Like I said, I didn't stitch on a whole lot this time. I didn't get a whole lot of stitching, but it is what it is. This next one, what is this one? Oh yes, this one is my Leap Day start. And I guess I did work on this one. I had to restart this one because I did my orientation on my fabric wrong. I think I gave myself, for some reason, started down way too far on my fabric and it wasn't going to really fit. I was going to have like this much left on the one side. And I was like, nah, not going to do that. Work that much on this big piece and then have it barely fit. I didn't want to do that. So I restarted it and I did an upper left-hand corner start. And I worked on it some more. Like I said, this was going to be my Leap Day start, but now I've only got 3 years to get it done because I boo-booed on my fabric. And now I restarted it on, what is this? This is it's a 28 count, no, it's a 32 count Lagana by Those Missing Stitches called Notable Nick. Notable Nick. And you can find her on Etsy. She she has an Etsy shop. And I love her fabric. It's gorgeous fabric. Where am I? Oh, this one. Let me see if I can get up. This one, I wanted to finish the border. I wanted to get the border all the way around because this is a huge piece. And if I got around this thing and it didn't fit, didn't fit on the fabric or didn't meet up, I was going to be thoroughly upset. So, let me stand back because this one is a big one. So I did get the border to meet. Can you see that? I hope you can see it all. And then I had come down and I was working on some of the leaves, you know, doing the vines down here once I worked my way around. Because I had started and I was like putting some of the leaves in and I thought, you know what? Let me bring this all the way around. So that's what I did. Basically, I just worked on getting this border to meet up. I don't think I showed you this last time. I feel like I did, but I don't know. Because if I worked on it this time, oops, I got a rogue floss down there. I'm going to have to figure out who that belongs to. But if I did work on this, it was back in, right after my last video. It's been a while since I worked on this one, so I'm feeling like I showed that to you, but maybe I didn't. Maybe I just told you I was going to finish the border all the way around. I don't know. Anyways, if I showed it to you already, you saw it again. Lucky you. And this last one is Merrily Merrily by Blackbird Designs. Merrily Merrily We Welcome Spring. It's another large blackbird. I started this one a while back and I wanted to get some more on it. I was like, hey, it's spring stitching, so let me see what I can do here on this one. And what am I stitching this one on? Because this is gorgeous. This one has like a pink tint to it. And I'm not sure, what am I stitching this one on? Here we go. It is 28 count Lagana, so even weave, by Seraphim Fabrics called Silver Lining. And it has a pink hue. And I'm doing, you know, I'll show you how the pink hue looks. It's hard to tell sometimes on camera unless you show it against white. So it's like the dusty rose slight pink hue to the fabric. And I worked on this some more because, like I said, I haven't touched this one. And I thought, and it's big, and I want to get some more done on it. So I thought, I want to try to get across the top. And that's what I did. I had half of it. I started on the left-hand side, so I had half of this. I had about this much. So I came over and I did this much more. So I still have a few more numbers. I think I have 9, 10, 11, 12 to do there. And I think I'm missing, I didn't quite finish the corner here. Other than that, I am across the top of this design. So that's how wide it's going to be. I'm going to bring it in closer so you can see it. I love this piece. I think there are still 3 more bands of alphabet on here. So this one is, I've just done that one, and that one. So there's still a band here, and a band here of alphabets. And then you get into all these beautiful flowers and birds, the house, the tree. And the border changes up, and it's a wider border at the bottom. But I had a lot of fun stitching on this one. I just have so many projects. You know, I did it to myself. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that a lot of these large ones aren't going to get done super, super quick because I got a lot going. I can show you what else is in this bag. This one has another blackbird in it. I did not work on this, but I can show it to you what I have on it. Not very much done on this one. This is Oh Joyous Day. I've seen a couple of people working on this recently. And I'm stitching this one on a piece of wheat. I think it's wheat. It's 28 count Lagana to dye 4 fabrics in the color wheat. And I'm using all of the color, I believe, but I switched up the color for the pear at the top because I didn't like how it was showing up on my, I don't know, it wasn't looking right. So I'm just up in the top band of this one, but I can show it to you real quick while I got it out. Because then if I ever show this, work on this soon again, I'm hoping to, you can see where I was more recently, because I didn't touch this at all last year. Sad. It is just sad. And I'm seeing people work on it. I just saw Roberta showing this, the Sable Stitchers, and she's putting her grandchildren's initials in it. I thought, what a neat idea. Because what more joyous day is there than the birth of your grandchildren? Your children, your grandchildren, weddings, those are all joyous days. So, that's a neat idea. I may contemplate, when I get to the point of putting initials in it, contemplate doing that myself. I might have to glean her idea. So those are all my whips. That is all of the cross stitch that I've been working on for the last few weeks. I just gave myself a paper cut on the edge of that leaflet. I am an accident waiting to happen. So what I want to show you next is my haul. There's not a lot that I'm going to show you. I'm in a couple of monthly clubs. The first is a fabric, cross-stitch fabric. I am with Pam. She has Stitch New England is her shop. So you could look her up, Stitch New England. Her name is Pam Dumont. And she is doing a fabric of the month for Atomic Ranch Fabrics. And I'm in that for this year. And so I got my piece of fabric for February. I got it right after I did my last video. So I thought, well, let me hold it aside and show it. And this one's called Forget Me Not, 28 count Lagana. And I get a fat quarter. So this is what it looks like. Really pretty blue. Isn't that beautiful? Atomic Ranch, I like the modeling they do. And like those missing stitches. I like a little bit of modeling. I just don't like a whole bunch. I don't, you know. It's hard for me to find a piece that'll work nicely on. My husband, he's called me twice now. Oh, I gotta see what he needs. I need to get off of here. He's on his way home from work probably. And then I told you I'm doing knitting. So I started back into knitting. And I haven't knitted socks yet. I started a prototype sock that I want to see, make sure I can get it to fit, if it's going to fit on my foot before I get doing any more socks. But I thought I'm going to get in the Sock of the Month Club from Legacy Fiber Arts. So Legacy Fiber Arts, they also have a knitting podcast, YouTube. You can look up Legacy Fiber Arts. And their Sock of the Month that they're doing this year, I think you can sign up at any time, I believe. And just sign up for that month or skip a month, whatever you want to do. But this is called Schitt's Creek. They're doing a year in Schitt's Creek. So this one is called No, You Get Murdered. So what they have is the main sock color, and then they give you a smaller one for the heel toe. Contrasting heel toe. So this was the January. No, You Get Murdered. No, You Get Murdered. And the February one by Legacy Fiber Arts, just look at the variegation in that. And then the purple, a purple variegated for the heel toe. Beautiful combo. And this one's called Spark It Up, Rolly. So these are the sock of the month from Legacy Fiber Arts. So I'm in that club. I'm doing that this year. And No, You Get Murdered. So beautiful, beautiful. Aren't these gorgeous? Look at those. Ah. So I gotta finish my prototype sock. But I have been knitting, so I'll show you that real quick. On this sweater. This sweater, you can find this pattern on Ravelry. And it is called, what time is it? Oh gosh, it is almost 5 o'clock. Because he is on his way home from work. And now he's going to be mad because I didn't answer the phone. He's going to say, why didn't you answer the phone? I thought about texting him and saying I'm filming a video, but I thought it'd be done before he would be home. This one is called the Skiddaw Sweater, Skiddaw. And it's by the Fiber Company. You can find it on Ravelry. This is just a black and white printout I did from my printer. Figured I didn't need it in color. This one, what's different with this sweater is you knit it, instead of knitting vertical, you're knitting horizontal. So you start at the end of a sleeve, you start the cuff, you work your way up a sleeve, you cast on for your front and your back, and then you knit. You leave a space for the neck opening. So you work on the front for a little while, then you work on the back, you pick up and you work on the back. Then you join it back together on the other side and you work it down. So I'm over to the second sleeve on this one. So I'm going to stand up real quick and show you. The back is still not 100%, but thank you guys for all the well wishes on my back. It's just, I don't know if it's something I'm going to have to deal with the rest of my life. I don't know what's going on. Hold on here. Because this is kind of weird. So I'm doing it in an emerald green color. I'll show you what yarn I'm using. But this is my sweater. So it has a cable pattern that goes along the top. And then your rows are going this way instead of this way. And so my cable, it's a long sleeve pullover, is going to go across it goes across your sleeve too, works down your sleeve, comes all the way across the top, and I've started on the second sleeve. So I'm over here on it, working my way across. And then I have to just pick up and put a few rows here for the neck hole. But this, and then the bottom of the sweater is just a seed stitch. So it's a really easy sweater. It's not hard because I'm new into knitting. Oh my gosh, I forgot my ball is down in the floor and I'm trying to reach it over. So this is the cable pattern here. And then the back, well, it has it where you wear the cable in the back. but I'm going to wear it, but it's reversible. So you can wear it in the front if you want. So, but the back would just be plain because I'm going to wear my cable in the front. So I'm going to wear it this way. So that is, I'm hoping to have that one finished maybe by the next time I check in and I can show you guys what it looks like. I forgot to warn people that I was moving over to knitting. Oh man. So the yarn I'm using, let's see if I can find one of that. It's a wool and silk blend. So it's Designer's Choice Silky Wool. Oh my goodness. And I am using color 170. I guess it doesn't have a name. And that's just the dye lot. But 170. Like I said, it's an emerald green. And this is a, oh, molly. I have my glasses on. 45% wool, 35% silk, and 20% nylon blend. And it's a 3-weight. And I'm using size 5 knitting needles and 3 for the cuff and the neck. But size 5 got me my gauge for my sweater. So that's my sweater so far. I had a couple of people ask me to show my knitting. So there you go. I'm not a professional at knitting. I'm new to it. I crocheted for a long time. But knitting's kind of new to me. So I'm learning. And that, I think, is everything. I think I've showed you everything. I'm just over an hour. I'm hoping these videos will be shorter than in the past because I do have a problem with sitting in this chair for too long. So I think that's it. I think I've showed you everything. I've gone over everything. So thank you so much for all your kind comments. Like I said, all the well wishes on my back. And I'm hoping to be back in just a few weeks again. And we'll see what I get finished then. But I said I would show you really close up the beadwork. Oh, in this. I've got an ice pack on my back with a neoprene belt. But let me see if I can get this in there close. Oh, now you're going to see all the lights glaring in it. But if you see what I'm talking about, see how close up all of these beads are? If you were to try to stitch this on a really smaller, see, this is all beaded. On a smaller count, it just would not work. And this is a 16 count Ada. Looks like some kind of gray color. So that is the Firefly Fairies by Mirabilia, but this is an out of print chart, unfortunately. So I know some people find it on the secondhand market or luck into it or find it somewhere. I don't think I have this chart anymore. I stitched this years and years and years ago. So until next time, thank you guys. I wish everyone well, happy stitching, and till we meet again here on my Flosstube channel or out there in the wild somewhere. If you do see me out, say hi. And until then, I wish you guys all of the best. Thank you. Love you guys. Bye-bye.